Welcome back to another episode of the Gifted Performance Podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe for future content. For more information about our one-on-one coaching and other training or nutrition options, visit giftedperformance.com. Our newest feature, the Gifted Express, offers premium programming for bodybuilders, powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters, and lifestyle clients for only $30 a month. Enjoy the video, we'll see you on the next one, and as always, stay gifted. Welcome back, guys. Another episode of the GPP. We are on episode 9 of season 2. Hope you like season 2 so far. It's been a shift from the norm in terms of how we kind of structure things, and we're going to keep that going today. We've got a really fun episode today. We are going to look at a I guess hilarious. I'm going to let Jason kind of describe how the interaction went. A hilarious interaction between an Angus Bradley, an Australian fella, a bloke, if you will, and everyone's favorite N1 founder, CEO, Kassem, the podcast that they did together. If you want to listen to that podcast, obviously finish this one first, and then that link is going to be down below. And then we're going to move in.
Nah, just go. You're not missing shit. Just go listen to it. This is stupid.
And then, no, what they would miss is the next part, which is where we are going to listen to your voicemails. So we have set up a voicemail line at Gifted Performance. We posted it on our story. We will make sure that there's a link in the bio. You can call in at any time, leave us questions, leave us your funny remarks, troll us, do whatever you want. And every once in a while, we will respond live on the podcast. We don't listen to these in advance. We have no idea what's coming. We're just going to listen, and we're going to tell you what we think. But let's start off first with a little bit about Angus Bradley. Has anyone scrolled this guy's content? Like, have you guys spent any time looking at his stuff?
I've looked at a few posts just from Tom.
I didn't even know who he was.
So I've shared his stuff before. I think he has some decent posts on here. A lot of it is like education adjacent shit posting, which I'm not against in the slightest. But yeah, so.
You know what this guy makes me, he seems like the dude that is almost really fun to know in real life, but you can't talk about training or shit at all because you just get a bunch of, well, really, fucking, you know what I mean? I think we've all been that guy, like, at one point.
Who says fuck optimal? Yeah. I don't understand that. Isn't this guy like a performance coach?
Dom, you need to listen to that podcast.
Yeah, you got to listen to the podcast. So a lot of it is, you know, fuck optimal is his response to like the biomechanics obsession of like, if you don't move perfectly, like you're really, really fucking up. Like you're going to hurt yourself. Like it's going to deteriorate your joints over time. So his whole thing to like attract eyes to his content is this fuck optimal. Like, don't worry about optimal. Move in the way that your body wants to move, and it'll self-select its way into efficiency over time.
So like,
this dude,
I don't have a problem with that for most people, right? Like, because the most optimal, like one, we've had this bodybuilders or like the evidence-based crowd have been having that argument forever that it is a spectrum based on all the variables around what you're doing and your life. But like, you know, trying to find the most optimal shit is just so highly specific to a person, right? Like maybe an elite bodybuilder with a back that's lagging extremely, like, yeah, they need to go find the most optimal for that lagging body part. But they don't necessarily need the most optimal for everything else. Like they have muscle groups that just fucking grow from just doing whatever, you know what I mean? So why spend a bunch of mental energy and time into like trying to optimize like what's a bodybuilder with massive biceps? Fucking like Phil Heath had great arms, right? Yeah. It's like if he wouldn't, it would be a waste of time for him to fucking like break open a bunch of textbooks and make sessions with Kassem where when he's like, yeah, actually I only train my arms once every other week because they're so gifted.
It was so when I listened to the podcast, there was kind of two things I picked up. One thing was So Angus, as I'm listening, and I wasn't familiar with his content at all. So when I was listening to him, what I imagined he looked like was like Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker, because his presentation, like he's laughing the entire. It seemed like he has that weird condition where he just laughs as he's saying things the entire time. And I'm not sure if he was doing that because he was poking so many holes and he was really fucking with Kassem the entire time that he was just really having a good time with it. But Kassem, is it Kassem? Is that right?
It's Kassem.
Sure.
Kassem.
Is it?
Hey, can I ask you, what is the whitest dude on earth doing with that name? Where did that come from?
I apologize, Coach I can't do it. But yeah, man, that fella, he takes himself very seriously. And I think that is one of the, I don't want to say it's an issue in exercise science. I think I'd made that comment the other day in the chat where I was like, you're an exercise scientist. Like a portion of what you do involves jumping jacks. You're not a neuroscientist. You're not an astrophysicist. Like, why take yourself so seriously is where I kind of, like, listening to the podcast, that was immediately what I thought of. Like, why is this guy so serious? It just seemed...
Dude, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. You can't just open up a fucking gym, buy some equipment, do some fucking... hook some shit up to your body and run some tests on yourself and call yourself a fucking scientist. Dude's not a goddamn scientist.
Kassem said that a lot in the podcast. It was like, the research that we do. And I was like, oh, dude...
It's not fucking research,
Hey,
man.
Have you ever read
Exactly.
his LinkedIn account?
Oh, God, no.
I don't think I want to. It
There's
seems
right
like an
here at the
exhibit of
bottom.
self-flagellation.
Hang on. Right here at the bottom, it says experience. And then it says educator, physique coach, nutrition, and muscle expert at MI40. And then it says, please note, I am no longer in any affiliation with MI40, Joe Bennett, or Ben Pekulski, and I do not recommend doing business with this company or individual on any level.
Oh, man, that's like pettiness level 1000. Holy,
That's
he is
public
unhappy.
information.
Yeah. How petty does he sound? Holy shit. Wow. But yeah, I think it's all weird stuff. Remember we were having that conversation in the chat a while ago, and I think, of course, Lyle poked holes at it because that's what Lyle does. And Lyle was basically saying that there are no high-level athletes that really pay attention to any of this stuff, like Paul said. Like nobody's paying attention to it. I know people are paying attention to it, but it's the people that want to make things super to make it seem as interesting as it could possibly be. Like you're making up imaginary lines of the lat and determining how you can train those imaginary. They're not imaginary lines of pull, but they're lines of pull that nobody really knows if they matter that much.
I was talking to my friend Clark we talk about this kind of stuff. Like the really sciencey, like biomechanic guys are usually the smallest and the bodies that you don't want.
Yeah, I think there's a reason for that, though, right? Like people who are like who want something but don't have the natural genetics for it, they're going to try and learn the most about it, you know?
I would make the argument that the deeper they dig into learning about it, the more they get caught up in the minutia and the more they miss the kind of big rocks. So, and that was part of it. Kassem was bringing up, lines of pull and sternal pec and Angus said, 99% of people don't care about like that kind of like optimization stuff. And Kassem was like, no, there's a lot of people who do care enough to like, take advantage of something like a reverse banded hack squat and like a sternal pec emphasis fly or pressing movement. And Angus starts laughing. He goes, ah, yes, the big rocks. And I was just like, fucking died. This guy.
But it's like he was like poking fun at him, and I think he was poking fun at him so much because he picked up on it's like if you're in an I guess I get into a lot of these arguments and debates, but if you realize there's one thing that you can continue to kind of push, like continue to push that button over and over and over again, you realize the other person's going to get upset, you're going to keep doing it. And that's what he did that entire conversation where he just basically was like making little puns and like poking fun at him the entire time. And the one thing he did he kept interrupting Kassem. And I think that was frustrating Kassem the most, because like not only was he interrupting him every single time he had something to say, but then he was poking fun at him every single time. It was like a very sort of childish way of making fun of him, but it just exposed the fact of how serious Kassem takes everything that he does.
So this seems to be the meme that kind of like sparked it all. I think this one got like the most shares in terms of what I saw, and like what like Kassem brought up as like the big piece that really infuriated him. He was like I don't know why you would take a picture of me when I was in very like when I was very out of shape or in very bad shape, and then like compare me to like some of the fittest people in the world. And Kassem was like, you know, like, do you know how like social media works and like how to like grab attention and how to grab eyes? Like it's not like the captions that you write. Like if you want to engage with the biggest audience possible, you put together stuff like this. And of course it's not serious. It's like, have you ever used hyperbole in your life? As an adult, have you tried hyperbole? That was another one that made me laugh. But this was the one that seemed to like piss him off the most, was putting him next to a picture of like Rich Froning, suggesting that like Kassem is very hyper obsessed with optimizing training, and Rich Froning kind of just trains like an idiot like any CrossFitter, like kind of like an idiot, not really caring about form or technique and just trying to move as fast as possible.
You know, it's funny. Honestly, this is some low-hanging fruit, man. But like, it really is. But like, Kassem just should have let something like this go, man. Because people who are smart enough to work their way through this are going to be like, okay, yeah, that's kind of dumb. It's a funny photo, but like that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and I don't want to like. I think if you just listen to the podcast and you don't consume any of Angus's like content, you might think that he's like a genuine just like shit poster, like a meme lord shit poster. But he really does have some quality posts here. You know, some good information about like back squatting and torso angle, and how a lot of people cue like a very upright torso angle and squat, and how that's not necessarily the case. He talked about like using heel wedges for squatting. I really, really, really like this video. I send it to all my clients that are super obsessed with like warming up and doing mobility work. So it's just him riding the bike.
I mean, yeah.
And that's it. So I always send that one out to people that like.
I just feel like this stuff.
I mean, dude.
Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Nah, you're good. Go for it. I was going to say something probably worthless anyway.
That's what we're here for.
Watch this. So I think a lot of the stuff that Coach like Kassem. Fuck, I'm messing it up. I watched a lot of his stuff and I kept paying attention to it, and I will often go back and go, well, that makes there's some modicum of sense there, but it's so deep in the weeds. It's just so deep. And it's a lot of stuff, because you got to figure the people that are taking these courses are just your basic LA Fitness personal trainer probably, or even somebody like, I think he had mentioned that he gets some PhDs that take his stuff, which how many PhDs do you know that actually train anybody? I don't know any PhDs that train anybody at all. So they're basically doing it for themselves.
First of all, how many PhDs, out of all the PhDs you know, how many of them do you trust to write you a training program?
Brad Schoenfeld, one.
I don't trust Brad. I don't trust Brad.
Look on hypertrophy. He's not programming shit for me.
What about that one? Oh, I almost called him a creepy fellow, but that's just that may or may not be true. What about that Brett Contreras fella? Does he do some programming that involves anything other than glutes? Maybe, I don't know. He's a PhD, right? No, just glutes.
Butt stuff.
No, trust me.
Strictly butt stuff.
Sorry if you're a nice fella, Brett. I've never met you before. I apologize. I don't know. I don't trust. Yeah, none of them. No. Eric Helms. I'll let Eric Helms program for me.
I'll let Eric Helms do it, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
I would let Eric Helms do it just so that I have direct access to him at all times, and I can just make fun of his weightlifting. And then I'm paying him to basically be my friend, so he can't be like, oh, fuck off, because I'm still paying him. So like, I'm just paying you to. But
you know what, man? Eric Helms is a good example. Eric Helms does not take himself very seriously. Like, there's videos of Eric Helms like breakdancing. Like, he's just like a regular dude. Like, he does not take himself so seriously. I think if you put him in that conversation, he would probably handle it fairly well because he wouldn't get so upset. I don't think he takes himself that seriously to the point where he would get upset to the same level of Kassem.
Kassem is a very disagreeable guy. You know, he's not an easy guy to like, his personality on the internet.
But do you find it weird that he criticizes people on a regular basis, and in this podcast he's being criticized and he could not handle it at all?
No.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Angus kept referencing back to was Kassem. Fuck, Jesus Christ. K-Dog, our boy K-DZ, K-Money. He's really critical of PRI. If you guys are familiar with PRI is like the woo-woo kind of training of like breathing into a balloon before you do a squat, and then like that extra core activation of breathing into the balloon and holding it like gets you greater like quad and glute activation. And K-Dog, K-Money is very critical of that stuff. And then Angus kind of draws some comparisons to with what the stuff that, and Kassem's just like, just see him like fuming as he's unable to, that's not what I wanted.
And honestly, you know, Kassem has some posts that I like. I've used some of his content before. He also has some posts that I find almost laughable. But, you know, that's everybody. They have stuff that you can take and stuff that is less useful. And not everybody needs this stuff. And some people will find it useful.
I think there's a lot of value in being as self-aware as like Paul just described, like being self-aware that everything that you put out there, some of it's very helpful. Some of it might not be the best stuff for everybody. And you can accept that. Like, listen, this post is for a very specific audience. Like, my mom doesn't care about the like optimal knee angles for glute activation in a barbell back squat. Like, she just doesn't give a shit. She never will. There's no bringing her around to that point, and your 8-paragraph caption isn't going to get her there either.
You know, it's like,
but you can be
the perfect angle for the whatever head of the chest fly or whatever. That's cool, man. But like, that's not number one I'm going to. Number one I'm going to is I just want you to push some heavy shit and get stronger, right? I just want you to fucking push it. And if you do that for a couple years and it's like, damn, that's not doing it for you. It does it for 99% of the population, but not you. Let's try this fancy shit. You know, we got to try something else.
I think this was kind of the conclusion to the podcast as a whole. Angus says, after suffering through the entire podcast with Kassem, I've decided the only line of pull that matters to me is the one I do to my willy.
Kassem didn't like that for sure. I'm sure Kassem was very upset about that.
Sorry, it took a minute for me to sub that in.
He has a section of his website that's dedicated to like Eastern medicine. I never knew that. He like sells like a candle that you can put in the room with you, and like you burn it, and it's supposed to Kassem.
Wow.
How do you pick and choose? Fuck. So, god damn it. So I think a lot of the failure inside of the exercise science or fitness industry is that we do a lot of shit that only applies to like 0.5% of the entire population. Like, you're not, Kassem, you're not helping anything in society. Like, you're not attacking like obesity or like childhood obesity or like any of those things. Like, you're literally talking to 0.5% of the entire population of the world that cares about shit like lines of pull. It's I understand that people
are you saying
making content.
Are you saying getting fucking yoked is not as important as those things?
He would never.
Are you saying that like, my desires?
He wouldn't say that. He definitely didn't mean that.
That my desires and everything I want in life is not worthy.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying. I want you to get jacked, Paul. You. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else.
That was another point that Angus made, right? He was like 99% of people like don't care about this, and Kassem was like taken back by that. He was like 99%, like you're drastically overestimating that number. He's like, it's probably closer to like 50% of people that care about this stuff. It's like, really? Have you been to a Globo gym recently? You think 50% of the people in there like have their gym like bag packed with bands so they can reverse band their incline Smith presses? Like they don't, and they never will. And you're targeting an audience that is so small.
Saying
you're
50% of all the people
surrounded by it. Yes.
I feel like you get to say stuff like that when you have 50% of the following of Kim Kardashian. That's when we get to say that.
All right. That's the benchmark that we can make. How many, Jamie, look that up for me. How many followers does Kim Kardashian have? What is Kim K at these days? I'm
going to say she has like 15 million followers.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on a limb.
She is at 320 million.
She's 30 million short of the U.S. population.
That's actually absurd.
She's got me at least on one of my
insane.
Instagram accounts for sure. Fuck.
Does Kassem have half of that?
I think he has 115,000 is what he kept saying. Is what
what percent is he at?
He has 117,000.
Oh,
so
not,
if we do 117,000
divided by 320 million.
He has 0.036% of the following that Kim
Okay,
so you could make the argument that he's close.
So I guess we could say not that many people probably give a shit.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Breaking news: Kim K posts her workout, and it's all iliac fiber pull downs.
Look, man, I go into my Instagram post knowing at best 200 likes, dude. At best, great day.
That's a good day.
Maybe 80 likes. It could be 80.
Yeah. I just don't understand why this fella takes himself so seriously. It's like whenever I think about where things for me started to get real, like unenjoyable when it came to fitness was when I wasn't having fun with it. When I really started to take it so seriously that I was all about like the X's and O's and shit like lines of pull and like getting just so bogged down with all the minutia that it wasn't fun. So just imagine if you're on the other end of, someone like me in the past or Coach Kassem being super serious about it. Like that means a portion of your audience is like they're taking it super serious and they're not having fun with it, and they're probably going to fall off at some point in time.
It's kind of like defending an idea becomes more important than like what you're doing and how you're impacting people. Like,
it's like when all the money you've made is wrapped up in the obsession and hyper focus on very small details. You really kind of have to lean into it and continue on with that. You can't just be like, just kidding. That shit didn't matter.
His shit would still sell so well. So fucking well. If he was just like, yeah, man, most people, they don't need this. But like those trying to really optimize shit, or somebody at a high level, or maybe this one muscle group, whatever that I'm talking about, like it can optimize things a bit and maybe give them a little bit of help or edge. Like it would still sell so well, and it would be very honest.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad point.
The other thing that I noticed about the podcast is that if he calls himself a scientist, but he took everything so personally. So when I think about the one thing I learned from having any sort of considering myself interested in science, or starting to walk down the path of becoming a scientist, whatever that means, it meant that at some point in time I had to like not necessarily be married to my own opinions and be able to like willing to say like, oh, I may not be correct here. Like I'm listening to your side of this discussion. I'm going to take in all that information. I'm going to assume that I may or may not be correct. And then I'm going to reply. Like you could just feel it in the podcast. And he was just like, I'm right. You're wrong. And he just
is this the podcast? Hyper Performance?
Yeah.
Hyper performance podcast. It's a pretty funny. The guys.
I mean, reading these comments, it sounds like it was a pretty rough conversation.
Dude, it was rough.
It was.
It was rough.
It was very uncomfortable. Like there are a lot of moments in there where they both just kind of like don't.
Was there like some dead air?
Each other, and they're just like, yes.
And then at the end, Kassem just like hung up. He was just like, "Oh, thanks, dude," and then you just clicked, and that was the end of it.
Angus chats to Coach Kassem. Is this an Aussie podcast?
Yeah.
Yes,
very much so.
The Aussies are definitely something else, man.
Well, they live in a place where everything's trying to kill you all the time. They're hard people down there.
Might get knocked out by a kangaroo.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit. There's spiders down there. Everything's just trying to kick your
ostriches running
ass.
wild.
It's wild out there, man. You can only live on the coast because everything on the interior of the continent is just trying to kill you.
What I will say is that Kassem at no point punched down and talked about how small this guy is or how weak he is, because he is not a muscle bound fellow. Can I just say my favorite quote? Angus was trying to lead him to the fact that his content speaks to bodybuilders predominantly, and Kassem kept pushing back on that. It's not content for bodybuilders. It's content for anyone who trains for hypertrophy. And at one point, he was just like, have you ever trained anyone for hypertrophy? Are you like a specialist in hypertrophy? And Angus is like, have I ever built a muscle? Like, yeah, man. Like, haven't we all kind of like built muscle at some point in our life?
When I heard that part, all I kept thinking was like, does he even know his own content? Like, does he understand what he's trying to do? Like, it seemed weird. Like, I would never take, say, let's say like an NCAA wide receiver who's trying to go to the combine or getting ready for the combine. I'm not going to be like, hey, man, listen, this is how you have to do your chest wraparounds in order to be faster in the 40. Like, so it's clearly for hypertrophy, and you know who is often very interested in hypertrophy? Bodybuilders. So for him to sit there and say like, oh, that's not what it's for. It's not for a soccer mom or soccer dad. I don't want to assume the gender of I'm a soccer dad. So it's not going to apply to that person that's concerned about the 3 divisions of the lat if they just need to move. So who does it apply to? Probably bodybuilders.
So am I allowed to still do that like pull down that I like to do or no?
Yeah,
of course, because it's a great pull down.
I'd still do all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at any of it. I guess I'm just disappointed in Coach Kassem.
That seemed to be part of the conversation that Kassem was missing, was that like not critical of the system itself. I think N1 is solid. The information that you're putting out is good. The secondary effect of it is that you've got people super obsessed, overly obsessed with their movement in a way that's not helpful for 99% of the population. Like that was the critique. And then they fist fought.
All he had to do was just
say, what bugs me about Kassem is, that single arm rope high to low row that I do.
That you invented?
Pull down?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what people call it or whatever. Like Kassem made a post and he was like, basically said he invented the variation of that movement, and that anyone that posts it and doesn't tag him is like stealing his shit. And I'm sitting here like, no, like I discovered that before I even knew who the fuck you were, right? And it's been an evolution over like, it was like a 1.5-year process where like I morphed a pullover into that. Like you're not the only one that can like come up with shit and make shit up.
It's
the
like
first person that's ever moved their body and found something felt good.
Against resistance. He's the only person that can coin any of those exercises. Now I kind of think he's a douche. Just by you saying that, now I'm like, I don't know about this guy at all. For a little bit, I'm like, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He was having a bad day. And now that you made me think about that interaction you had with him, And then even there's interaction with people that he's worked with where he's like criticized their YouTube videos doing his exercises and basically saying like, no, that's wrong. This is how you're supposed to do it. Yeah, like you're misrepresenting the exercise that I invented. It's like fucking gross. I'm unfollowing him right now.
Let me flash that across the screen right now. Just a big screen wipe of what a douche.
See, I'm out of the loop on this kind of stuff, so I didn't know Kassem was like this. And then one day Lyle commented to me, like replied to me, and said, "You're talking about the most egotistical man in our industry," or something like that. And I was like, where is that coming from? But now it all makes sense.
You know what, Dom? That's where I got it from. You were the one that brought that up to my attention.
Is there a scarier notification on your phone?
Oh, Lyle McDonald's replied to you in a comment.
You're like, oh God, fuck! I just gotta burn my phone. I don't want to look at this.
I texted
absolutely horrible.
I texted one of my older friends, and I was like, I'm so scared to open this Facebook Messenger. It's okay though. We're still Facebook friends, so he didn't block me.
I'll tell you what, Lyle has always been cool to me, but like he has just straight up burned like friends or clients of mine that have like commented on my Facebook. I'm like, damn, dude, it's not that serious.
It was like it was a couple months ago. I think Elias made like an Instagram post and like referenced something that Lyle had said to him. It was like, you called my legs small or something. It's like, damn, even Elias remembers a comment that Lyle made like 3 years ago.
I'm just like, damn, Lyle, like the dude's jacked. Be happy for him. You don't gotta like make fun of his gas, dude.
I haven't had any negative interactions with Lyle, but if I did, I wouldn't take him too seriously.
I feel like that's a lie. I feel like that is a lie.
I'm sure that Lyle is a nice Lyle. If you're listening to this, I would love to talk to you. I miss you. I miss our interaction.
We'll post it in his group.
Yeah. I think Lyle does a lot for the industry. And the one thing as I get older, the one thing that I appreciate about Lyle is he just does not care about outward perceptions of him. So he just says things. If he thinks you're wrong, he's going to tell you that you're wrong. Whether or not it's hyperbolic or not, he's just going to tell you that you're wrong. Whether or not the delivery of that message is appropriate or doesn't involve any straw man arguments or doesn't involve like any direct insults about who you are as a human being, but he's going to get his point across, and he just does not care about outward perceptions at all.
You know, it teaches us a lesson, right? That like, you know, how resilient you can be in business if you're just fucking good at what you do and you're almost always right.
Yeah. And that's I also can appreciate that people love to hate about Lyle is the man is always right. And when he tells you that you're wrong, he'll tell you why you're wrong. He'll support that with evidence, and you'll pretty much have nothing to say back, which is a frustrating position to be in when you hold a position very strongly.
Yeah. I've gotten the better of Lyle once, but it was definitely on a conversation which he was not equipped to have that conversation. It had nothing to do with exercise science whatsoever.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, so I've gotten the better of him actually more than once, but it was on conversation that had nothing to do with exercise science, because most of the time inside of exercise science, Lyle's right. And it's because he still looks at things from a very simplistic way of looking at things, where everybody else is trying to overcomplicate things, such as Coach Kassem.
Yeah, I can get down with that. All right, I got 10 minutes before I got to scoot. Let's listen to some voicemails. Let's see what we got today. Voicemails. All right, voicemail number 1.
Yo, is there any sign that shows
Can you guys hear that?
why Asian people don't age?
You can hear it?
I can see. We can see
it. Is there
it.
any science that shows Asians why they don't age?
It played, though? The audio played?
Yeah, it played. I heard it.
Maybe I don't have my headphones on?
Play it again.
Yo, is there any science that shows why Asian people don't age?
Okay, I definitely heard that one that time. Guys, what is it about race, man? We always get the race stuff on here. Is there any science? I would like to interject that Asian people do age, but they age in a matter of like 12 to 18 months from like the youngest person you've ever seen into like an actual fossil of a human being. That is my observation outside looking in. I see Asian people and they're either the youngest person that I've ever seen, or it's like that if I touch that lady, she's gonna turn into dust and like crumble on the ground. So I'm gonna keep my distance.
It's true. I was actually told that by a Korean lady in my younger years. She was like, yeah, if you marry a Korean, she's going to be hot for a while, and then she's going to fucking disintegrate overnight. Just fucking, like somewhere around like 50 or.
Bye, Paul.
Yeah, Paul just took a shit.
Looks like he's having a stroke.
I think this is very geographically determined with Asians, though.
Oh.
Like Japanese, no, they don't age. They have the best skin. They have the best skin care. They're just like immaculate people, right? Yep. And then you get to like South Korea, and they're more like the like I think of them as like the Dragon Ball Z characters of the world, like the citizens of Dragon Ball Z. I'm gonna get canceled already.
No. Paul's
and
here.
And the Chinese the Chinese are both ways. The Chinese are like if you're aging too fast and you're getting fat or things like that, you just disappear. The government just makes you disappear because they don't want you. And then the ones that age well and stay in shape, they want you. They'll let you repopulate, but not the other ones. And then when you get down to like Singapore, Thailand, that area, that's just a whole different breed of Asian.
I feel like people in Thailand
what are we talking
or like
about?
Vietnamese, they're like Vietnam, they're like super happy. So they're always like, they just age well because they're just happy all the time. I feel like most Asian people.
You know, that was some bullshit I realized. Like, let me tell you something. For people that. Did my fucking Wi-Fi disconnect again?
No, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I'm back.
Let me tell you
All
some
right.
bullshit.
So,
and ready for the bullshit.
Oh, Asian motherfucker.
This segment is going better than I could have ever imagined.
I have to find
My computer, dude.
I have a really funny comedy skit from an Asian comedian that was so I have to find it and send it to you guys because it is fucking hilarious. He goes over like each type of Asian and how they talk and then how you know where they're from because of how they talk.
Jay, there's a saying about our African American friends that has to do with aging as well, and I believe it is that black don't crack. Is there any truth to that statement?
I think if you look at the entire, I guess the population of the diaspora, if you will, I feel like we just I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's like the things that we use to moisturize our skin. I don't know if it's like cocoa butter or shea butter, or I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's whatever it is. I don't know, but I believe that to be true. But I think we age in the same way that Asians do, where we're like, we look young until we're like 70, which I guess is pretty old. And then things just fall apart from there. Like my dad is 76. If he's listening to this, he's gonna be like, no, I'm not 76. But he like just started losing his hair. He had like a full head of hair and he started losing his hair like last year. And he's like complaining about it.
What happened to you?
Who knows? He complains to me about losing his hair. And I'm like, I feel terrible for you. But he basically didn't age until he was like 75 years old. So I think it's that same deal. I don't know. I feel like Indian people also don't age. I don't know. I feel like it's just white people age. Maybe that's
right in the heart.
It's that.
Got me.
It's all that privilege.
Paul, it told me to tell you to record, to reload your browser. Maybe that'll work.
He's
Now it says recording failed.
Oh,
Please have Paul Serafini refresh the page to continue recording. So we'll see about that one. Dom, Middle Eastern people, age, don't age,
50-50.
50-50?
Yeah, like the really rich ones just eat and don't give a fuck, so they age.
Okay. I thought it was something about the spices, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, the Mediterranean diet is healthier, I guess, right?
Is it like curcumin? Is that the thing that's in most
We use
Indian
a lot.
A word that I've heard.
curcumin? Is that good for you? I think
Turmeric.
it's good.
Turmeric.
Turmeric.
A lot of
That's the
turmeric.
one. Yeah, that's
Are
the
they
one.
the same thing? We should know the answer to this. This is
No, they're not the same thing.
Here's a good question. Is it turmeric or turmeric?
turmeric. There's an R in there. Jimmy got it in her head at one point that she was going to do a turmeric face mask, and her face was like yellow for 4 days. It was so funny. It was so funny. She looked like she had like the worst case of jaundice ever. Couldn't even take her out in public.
Her face looked like chicken masala.
Scrub yourself.
Chicken masala, delicious.
Very delicious. All right. We got time for one more here.
Hey guys, so I'm 29 years old. I weigh 198 after my morning shit, and this is the cycle suggestion from my coach. It'll be 16 weeks. He wants me to up my test to 500 milligrams
All right,
for
next
116 weeks. Anadrol weeks 1 to 6, 50 milligrams per workout. DECA weeks 1 to 5, 300 per week.
Hey man,
Here's the-
hey, just spot. Hey, hey, dude. If you're listening to this, just like shoot an application over and DM us or DM me or Dom or something, man.
Oh man, that guy's airing it all out.
Here's the thing, dude. You just called a random number that you saw posted on the internet and confessed to using federally illegal drugs with dosages listed in a service that records your phone number that can track who you are. We have no advice for you on the question that you asked, but we have a bit of life advice for you. If you see a random phone number and you don't know who's on the other end of it, assume
Don't call
it is
it and say this.
Assume it is the following 3 people: the cops, your mom, and a 14-year-old that's going to take whatever you say very seriously. So please, my guy, keep this stuff.
This is my name, my age. I'm 5'8". Here's my social security number.
Here's where I can be found between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. I can read the next
This
couple.
thing isn't even transcribed
Hey,
all the way.
we appreciate you for trying, though, dude.
What's the next one say? I've got a. Oh, I don't know if that one's going to be a good one either.
I've got a butthole, a really pretty butthole.
I can't listen to
It's a
that.
good
Whose number is that?
butthole for looking at stuff.
And this
That's
is
Long
on
Beach County.
I think we may have found a flaw in the system. We might need to screen these. I need to screen these first.
See, I think it's the opposite. I think this is the content that the people want to see. There's no rules on this stuff. So we posted
Only
this.
3
We got
people
only 3 voicemails. Yeah, only 3 voicemails for today.
Yeah, things take time to build, Dom. They take time to build.
Yeah. People are going to see this episode. They're going to see the feedback that we gave these people on the voicemail, and they're going to be calling in like gangbusters. So, guys, please call in. You got marital issues? Dom would love to help you. He's starting up a new side gig. He's opening up a marriage counseling service.
It's called Make More Money. All your problems will go away.
Make more money and learn to spoon. Learn to be big spoon.
Yeah, man, I think there's a lot of stigma around spoon size, and I don't think that we should put out the message that all men like us need to be big spoon. Guys,
Well,
you're out there,
dude,
you're a petite fella.
Am I the only one? Like, I hate being big spoon, dude. Big spoon is a bullshit ass role, dude.
I like it. I can fall
You
asleep.
got like hair in your mouth.
It's like your arm's stuck. It's trapped underneath the body. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, dude. I can lay on my back and you can like maybe put like 10% of your arm on me, right? I overheat easy. Like,
and then I get sweaty.
Yeah, dude. Over here trying to sleep.
I'm super lucky because Katie sleeps like a coal, like a hot coal. So it's like after about 2 minutes of cuddling, she's like, get off me, like, go over there. I'm like, okay, perfect. So this is where I wanted to be.
Yeah, Dina's the same way. She's like, I'm getting hot, move, runs hot.
Jimmy's a goddamn lizard. She's fucking cold-blooded. She uses me like her heating stone, and she like lays out like this on me to maximize body surface area absorption of heat. I'm not big spoon. I'm not small. I'm like heating lamp at this point. Just
you're heating
radiating. I guess. All right, guys. I gotta fucking scoot. I gotta get up out of here. Hey, call the voicemail line. That's point number 1. Leave us some voicemails for next episode. Number 2, don't be so obsessed with your movement. Number 3, Paul's taking on clients. Fill out an application at giftperformance.com/sign up. Jay and Dom, they might be taking clients if their wives allow it. Do we have approval?
I have approval.
I've got it.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that she's like, yeah, make more money. So yeah, there's that.
Okay, sweet. Me, leave me alone. I'm too busy. I don't want to hear from you unless we've spoken previously. Just go ahead and work with someone else. I'm not interested. I love you, but I'm not interested. The rest of you, maybe you're not interested in filling out an application. Maybe you just came here for the witty banter. Well, thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one. And in the meantime, in between times, and as always, stay gifted. Bye.
Bye.